Hi everyone, it's Wendy. It's part 2 of how I do, or my process for making these recipe albums out of a 3-ring binder. I did some prep stuff. I covered the front, the side, and the back. Let me tell you something. This and a few of these sheets is really all I have left. So I'm using scraps. I did go in here and make pockets here. I added this here. I'm thinking of putting a band here, and I think I will. And I added a pocket here. Now, the pages that I came up with. This is a clear pocket page, so you can see what's in there. On the back is these slider pockets, horizontal. The next page is this kind of expanding pocket. Then there's 2 more of these horizontal pockets. Then I did a double cross pocket here. And I thought it was a great idea. I was thinking of doing tiered, but I couldn't figure out how to quite do it. I got frustrated, so I said, heck with it, I'll just do two crossed. Okay. And on the back of that one is just 2 small pockets. And of course, the reverse waterfall. Now, there's 8 pockets in this one. I only shot 4, so that means I have 1 more of each to do. So we're going to get started first with the reverse waterfall. I did some prep. Well, let's start with the pages first. How I did those. I have one here that I haven't completed. What I used is heavyweight cardstock. This is like 110 pounds. Then I took and I cut a 1-inch strip of it, put a layer of Tyvek about where my holes would be, and glued it all together. Now what this does, it gives it a little more strength here on this side, because this is what's going to be on the pocket side. So that's what I did. Now, make sure I've got the right. Oops.
Yes, I do.
All right. So this is my paper, and I cut it out so that on the side that has the 1-inch binding strip, if you will, the paper will butt right up against it and will leave this space here. Trying to remember. I have these done a certain way so that, okay, that one is on the back, that's on the back. Okay, I did do it that way. Okay, have to think here for a minute. So, this is actually going to be my back, so I got to flip it over and reverse it. And I'm just going to use ATG because this is paper to paper. Because this is a heavyweight cardstock, that I'm using for my base. And this paper from Cosmo Cricket is actually heavyweight too. You could use glue on it if you want. But basically, it's going to be the same process whereby it's going to butt up against that 1 inch space, just like that. Now, turn it this way. This is the front of the page. So I want to make sure, okay, that's going the right way. I have put it on upside down before. And if you notice my hole punch, I used just a regular three-hole punch, and I just set it. I did a couple test punches to make sure that the holes were where I wanted them, that I had the right spacing on for either end. I think one might be a little shorter than the other, but you know what? That's okay. So there's my top. I'm placing my top to the right. And I'm just going to lay this down now. This is going to have a little narrower space, or not as wide as a space on this edge than the back side did, but that's okay. So I was able to get both sides out of a 12 by 12. So these are my, oops, that's my front. That's my front. That's my front. Okay. So, and I did do the same on the back as the front. So these are my fronts. And I'm going to concentrate on the fronts first because they're a little more complicated. Now, we're going to do the waterfall one first. So what I did was, because my page itself is 10, and I have a workable space of 10 and 7/8. I try and put it 10 and 5, or 5.5. I try and leave a little bit of space around. So this mat that I'm putting my waterfall on is 9 3/4 by 5.5. Now these pockets I got. You can get them at the Dollar Tree. Sorry, I had to think if I had any I hadn't cut up yet. You can get them at the dollar store, Dollar Tree, Dollar for $1. But if you go to Walmart, they're 88 cents. So basically, you can get 9 of these for the price of 8 at the dollar store, at the Dollar Tree. So it's something to think about. But all I did was take it apart. These will fit 4 by 6. But because I'm using this in a book that isn't as wide, this part isn't as wide, I had to cut them down. So all I did was take them, and I can do that for you, was take my craft knife. You could even put them in your cutter and just remove the pages like that. Now, this gives you 12 sleeves. And I just put it in the cutter and cut along here. And then you end up with something like this. And all I did was, let me show you on my cutter. I'm going to bring it in here so you can see. Oops. Okay. If you notice, you see this line here, the stitch line? Now, on this cutter, it's fairly easy, but what you, or actually, I used my other cutter, sorry. I use different cutters for different jobs. It's very confusing. Actually, this cutter makes it easier because, you see, I have the, you can tell by my bar. What I did was, I just lined that stitch line up along this cut here, and that gave me, about 1/4 of an inch. And then I just cut it, and I got 6 sleeves. Now, once I have them apart, because my page is not big enough for a 6-inch, because if I did, they'd be hanging over. But it will fit a 5.5 inch. So then all I did was take it, I lined this stitch closed edge at the 5.5 inch mark and just cut it down. That's all it is. So I cut them down to 5.5 by 4. They still work. The next thing I did was take and cut 5.5. Oh, I'm going to zoom you out now. Yeah, too close. Was cut 5.5 by 1.5 inch strips. Scored it at 3/4 of an inch. Now, I just punched with my We Are Memory Keeper scallop edge. If you were going to do a punched edge, before you cut it down to the 1.5, I would punch it and then cut it so that it's 1.5. And because you need that 3/4 inch. Now I'm going to zoom you in. I'm sorry if I'm making some of you dizzy. Now I have to do this a certain way so that they go in the right way, because I want my opening to the right. And in order to do that, I have to lay my punch edge down like this. A little more. Okay. I take my sleeve. I make sure that I make sure the opening is at the top. Now, I have 3/8 inch and 1/4 inch here. If you had 5/8 inch and 1/8 inch, you could use that. If you're using glue, you can use glue, but I found the score tape works a little better. And if you notice, because I have two sizes on there, I can take off the smaller one, align my sleeve, give a good press here, remove the larger one, give another good press, it's on. And I'll do that again. So again, my decorator edge goes to the right. The stitching side of my sleeve goes to the left, and the opening is at the top. Remove because of the way I have it taped, I remove the smaller one, and grid lines on your mat helps. So I line it up so that the ends are in, but it's not crossing the score line. You want it to go kind of up to the bump. So I rub that. Then I can remove my larger piece. Sometimes you gotta go to the other end. Okay. And then I just rub that down. Give it a good rub. Give it a good burnish with your bone folder if you like. So I have found the sleeves stick very well with the score tape. Alright. Then you're going to put it on, so you got to move these out of the way. Now, what I did was I took my first one. I'll just demonstrate on it. I took my first one, and you notice I have the score tape on the opposite side. I just folded it in half, lined it up, and glued it in. You can either use glue, or I'm using score tape. I don't know why, but I think for this project, score tape works better. Then you just take the next one. Once you have that first one in place, it's pretty simple, because all you're going to do is butt the folded edge against this edge here. You can kind of see it there. You see that edge there? You're just going to butt the folded edge of the next one you're going to place and line it. Once it's butted, press it into place. And actually, my waterfalls end up kind of straighter doing it this way. Do it one more time. I'm going to take where this edge is here, take the folded edge, butt it up, make sure my edges are lined up, and if you notice, my sleeve is on the top. Okay. Now, I may go back and add a decorative piece of designer paper here. That's something you can do. You can even put something in there so they can journal for this. All right. So we got that done. I like to take my bone folder and do a very hard burnish. If you wanted to, when you were doing your 3/4 inch score, you can actually score both sides of the paper to ease the folding. And if you're worried about the raw edge showing, you can cut another piece just shy of 3/4 of an inch, do the quarter punch, and lay it on the other side. All right. Now, I need a piece of that one's too short. Designer top. No, that's never. For here, I need a piece of designer paper 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to go into my scraps. This one will work. Three 3/4. Yep. By 5 1/4. And that is going to fit. Let's zoom you out. That is going to fit right here. And basically what you can do is you've got this little lip here, 3/4 inch lip. Line your paper up along that. Done. Alright. Now you're going to need 2 bands. And I have these measured to fit my reverse waterfall. For this book, one band is 2 inch by 7. The other one is 2 inch by 5 3/4. I'm going to need some decorated paper. You know what? Let's go green. So I need 2 bands. One that is 1 3/4. I did a 1/4 inch rather than 1/8 of an inch. It's just easier. One more. I put that one too short. Okay. One needs to be 6 1/4. And no, I'm not cutting around. The other one needs to be 5. I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay. For my bands, I took and I scored 1/2 inch on one end, and I placed tape. And I placed the tape on the same side as the bump. Now, you can either place the long band at the top or at the bottom. It doesn't matter. But this is how I do it. This is 5 1/2 inches wide. Your band is 2 inches wide. That leaves 3 1/2 inches, or 1 3/4 inches on either side. Don't you just love math? So I'm going to line this up on my grid on my 1 3/4 inches, and I'm going to bend it back so I can line it up right. Bump it up against the edge of the mat, lay it down. Do the same thing on this side. Now this side you do have quite a bump there because of the fold there. Okay. Because that's what you're starting your waterfall. So again, 5 inches, take it up to 1 3/4 inches, line it up like that, bump it up against the edge, and roll it down. Alright, since I have this one in this, hold on here, I don't think, magnet. This is when you want to place your magnets. And I'm using basic gray magnets that I get from Country Craft Creations. So before I even put the paper on, I'm going to bring this up and this down and kind of figure out where I want my magnets. Now you notice they're lined. Kind of figure out where I want my magnet. Kind of put my finger there. I lost my place. There. Lay one magnet down. Lay one side. Remove the covering from the adhesive on the magnet. Lay it down. Remove the adhesive from the other magnet. And I do it a little loose so that there is a little bit of give. Because this is going to pop up and when you get everything in there. Alright. So, we're doing the green on the outside. ATG paper. And I'm going to take some score tape. Lay it over the magnet. You hear noises, that's my husband. And I'm going to lay the paper down. Okay. Rub over it. So now I'm going to do the other side. Again, I'm going to ATG it. Lay my paper down. Alright. That looks good, but we gotta do the insides too. So let me find a paper and use Let's, I don't know if I have enough. I should. 3.5 inches. Nope. Well, that's perfect. Okay. So going a little psychedelic on the inside. So cut it down to 1 3/4. And because this is 3.5, it should be perfect. Thank you, honey. Okay. Hope. Yep. So again, I'll cut one at 6 1/4. And 5. Those pieces, fill them down. Alright, I'm going to ATG both of these at the same time. Same time. Because it doesn't help, it sticks to my fingers. I don't get a tape on there. Has anyone bought the new ATG that's come out by 3M? You notice it's different. Now they don't have the nice little boxes. It's all in packaged stuff. Alright, and I'm just going to, again, do the same thing. Alright, this one is not right. This one's 1.5. Okay. I will use that on something else. I've got something else I can use now. Oops. And get some score tape. I cannot tell you how many times when I was making my first one, I took and I glued both magnets on one side. And I kept wondering, why is there such a big bump? Then I realized what I had done. So be careful. Count your magnets before you paper them. Make sure you only have one magnet underneath there. Okay. Yep. I'm trying to use my scraps before I use the full pages, so I'm just cut this, set that up there so it doesn't stick to anything. That's kind of pretty paper. 1 3/4. In case you're wondering, that little tab is about 1/2 inch. I need to cut this to 5. Now you notice I didn't ink any of my edges. I just couldn't find an ink that I thought went well with the paper line and the black really kind of makes it pop. And I didn't want to dull down the edges. I wanted them to stand out. So, let me get this straight on here. We'll put that in. Line it up. There we go. Okay, that one is complete. There we go. Now, the back. I'm going to use my 1-inch tape on the back. And I could have taped it before I even started, but I didn't think about it. Now you want to go on both sides, the edges. And up to the top. Like that. And then I do one in the middle. And I really would suggest strong-sided, double-sided tape on this one because you're going to have 16 recipes that are going to sit on this. I figure out which one. That one. So you want it to be strong. Now make sure it's going the right way. Take off your score tape. You could add some glue in there. I use art glitter glue. I use glue. Now, I know this is the top of my page. I'm going to turn it sideways. It just seems to work better for me. I'm going to hold it right there. And it went down. Almost perfectly. Okay. So that page is done. The front is. We're not doing the back yet. These are my back pieces. I've got some extra pieces here. Put it over to the side. All right. The next one we're going to do got extra pieces all over. Is the expanded pocket. And that requires 2 pieces of cardstock. The first one is cut 8.5 by 5 1/4. Then you're going to take and I put it in this way. Oh, no, it's 11 by 5 1/4. Sorry. My measurement is off. Make sure. I know that's 11. 5 1/4. Okay. So you're going to put it in your scoreboard with the 11 inch side up. You're going to start at 7 5/8 and score every 1/8 of an inch to 8 1/8. And that gives you this little, and then you gotta gently fold it. It gives you kind of that, you know how on some of the file folders you see the extra scoring on the bottom? That's what this does. This gives you a little room so that it can expand. Now, this piece, which is going to be your front, you need to cut 7 1/4 by 8 1/2. You're going to put it in. Let's start with the 7 1/4 side. You're going to score it 1/2 inch and 1 inch on both sides. So score it 1/2 inch, 1 inch, turn it, 1/2 inch, 1 inch. Then you're going to put it with the 8 1/2 inch side up, do the same thing, 1/2 inch, 1 inch. So you actually have a double score. Now, tape it. On the outer and in between the inner score lines. So this outer edge here is where you're going to put your tape. Basically on the indent side of your cardstock. And I do this while it's flat. For one thing, it's easier to do the matting and everything. So as you can see, my tape is inside. It's on this outer 1/2 inch, but it's inside. Well, it's from the top to that first score line. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mat this now. And again, because I'm doing paper to paper, ATG will work. So I'm just going to line this up. I'm trying to get, I've got my inner score lines, one on this quarter line and one on the 12, so that I know where they're at. So I can line this up. Pretty good for me. I'm not too worried about having a little more on the bottom. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take and indent just a little. I'm going to clip it like that on both sides of these corners. So you're not cutting straight, you're actually cutting at an angle. So I'm just going to angle up there and there. So that very innermost score line, that's where I come up to. So now we fold and burnish. There it is. So I'm going to burnish. Basically, I flip it over. The first one, I think I taped it wrong. Yes, I did. Okay. That's all right. I can work with it. I can fix it. I think I thought I was going to do the other stuff. Oh, that's why. All right. So, and instead of doing it on the outer side, you need to do it on the inner side. You need to do your tape on the inner side, the side you're not matting. And I'll show you what I'm going to do there to cover up my little boo-boo. All right. So, I've got boo-boos. But they're not necessarily yes. All right. There's always a way to fix it. I'm going to cut me 3/8 of an inch. Well, actually, a little closer. That is actually, let's see. Right there. 7/16. And there's like 3 7/16 strips. This is a creative opportunity. I didn't do it on the other one, but that's okay. Now, 2 of them I'll leave as they are, and the length on them is 7 1/4. The other one, I'm going to cut to 5 inches and trim down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take off the tape. Make sure this does not interfere with the bump or with the fold. Place it right at the edge. To make it look like I actually want that to be there. Just kind of action a little bit. Oh my! Creative opportunity! And it's a way to fix it. I mean, I could have gotten all upset and turned off the recording and said, it's ruined, it's ruined. And in actuality, it's not ruined. It just gave me an opportunity to add a little more, use a little more of my scraps left. Let's put it that way. Because there are tons of scraps left. Alright. And I'm going to be using them to decorate with anyway. So, alright, this one, I'm just going to place even on the edge. trim a little more. Ta-da! I fixed it! Alright. Now take this piece, and again I use the scallop edge punch. And then I have my designer paper to fit. Now I can give you specific measurements, but if you have a different size 3-ring binder, you're going to have to adjust them. Take these ideas and run with them. Don't realize you're going to have to adjust the measurements to fit your book. Now, I am just making sure this is just shy of that first score line. Actually, it's over. How in the heck did that happen? No problem. That is okay. As long as you don't cut the thing off, you're okay. There. And it works. There we go. I probably should have made it about 1/8 of an inch shorter, but that's alright. So, got that done. Now, we gotta put this on. The easiest way I found to put it on is to start on the bottom and use your inner, I'm going to bring you in a little closer. What I am doing is I am using these inner score lines to match up with my, which you can't see, okay. The inner score lines to match up with the edges of my back. And then I'm just matching the edge down here. And if you notice, I have it out flat, and that's okay, because it will work. Once you have it all lined up, hold it tightly, lay this down. Do a little prayer. Okay. Now, I can lay this. Oh, it worked, see? Because I laid it flat, but look. It worked. Now I do the edges one at a time. I get them, start at the bottom really. You gotta kind of tuck. If it helps, take a clip of some kind and clip that one edge, the opposite edge that you are working on. I'm going to move you out, I'm sorry. As you can see, I've got it clipped on the opposite edge so that I can work on this side. So I'm going to take off just a little bit of my score tape, line this up, line up the edge, all the way down. I'm sorry. Okay, so I got this edge lined up, I got my little tape, and what I do is I do it in little pieces, little segments. I'll plug it to the end. Alright. Now, I'm going to move this clip over to this side. Sneaky. I'm going to fold this in. I'm going to remove a little edge of my score tape. Now, if you're using glue, this method will work with the glue too. So, all I'm doing is I'm lining everything up, that one edge that I've released, and gluing it down. Then I'm moving my fingers down to kind of match everything up. And you notice this hand, I don't take all the way to the edge to do it. I bring it down so far, do the glue, move it, press, move it, press, and there. All right. Oops. Some reason it wants to go off kilter. Now, for this, I use these little Velcro dots, and after 24 hours they're permanent. I got them in the sewing section. Cool. Use other supplies for other crafts for yours. Alright. Some strange reason. Okay, I'm not done. I might end up redoing this, but anyways. I see where my pocket is. Now, you see I've got all that going. I take it so that it lies flat. See where it lies flat? I put my dot down in the center. Close. If you're really OCD about it, you can measure. I remove the back side. Press that down. Ta-da! Okay. I might redo that one. Okay, this is going to go on the polka dot page. I'm not going to put it on there because I'm going to redo that page, that pocket. It's not working right. All right. Let's go with the window pocket. I have here what measure is? All right. For the window pocket, for the size of my book, I have a 6 3/4 by 6 1/2 piece of cardstock. Excuse me. Scored 1/2 inch on 3 sides. I'm going to score tape my edges. Going to minor my corners. Now, this is how I do this so that it's easy to do. I have a piece of designer paper that I'm going to apply. I want to make sure it's on there straight. Okay. And I put extra on this because I'm going to cut a hole in it. So let's line this up. Like that there. I'm going to lay down my designer paper. Then I'm going to flip it over. Take my ruler and a pencil. Now if you notice I haven't bent any of my corners yet. I am going to go to like a quarter inch, no, 7/8 of an inch from the edge of my cardstock. I'm going to draw a line all the way down. And I'm going to do that on all four sides. You could do an inch if you want. This 7/8 is going to be fine. Alright. Then we're going to go back and we're going to cut out what we drew. Now you could skip the pencil lines and just cut. But I found it easy because, helpful because then you can see where to end. Take shallow strokes and do this on all four sides. Now I will let you in on a little tip. If you wanted to, you could use temporary adhesive, you know, like repositionable glue dots or something. Use that to put your pattern or your design paper down. Cut out your square and then layer your plastic in between. But I can't find it. Temporary glue dots, so I have to go this way. Might need to go in there on the corners and do a little release. There you go. Now save that. You can use it. Husband's nice to bring me my Doctor Who bottle with tea in it. Alright, so we've got this nice little window. Now, we can fit our that goes the other way, I think. Okay, I need to take a sliver off. Trimmer. The plastic I'm using is clear craft plastic. Graphics. Cuts very nicely in the cutter. Okay. So I'm going to put 1/8" tape on the edge of the plastic. Actually, it's harder to see on the plastic. This is 1/4 inch. Oh well. I'm going to put this tape right up next to the edge of the opening, trying not to go over. You could use glue if you want. Like I said, if you wanted to, you could put this inside, not this inside. I gotta clean this off once I get it mounted. Okay. That's my top. Well, it's down. It decided it wanted to go down. Make sure you don't have it interfering with your mats. Okay, let's put this one here. No, let's go on this one. Alright, so we're going to mount this. Excuse me for a moment. The edges are showing. Might want to do 1 inch in so that your so that you don't see your cardstock through the window. That's better. Alright, I always start with the bottom. Some people start at the side. I have to start with the bottom. I'm just going to take this and leave a little space on the bottom. And this will actually fit perfectly on here with a little edge on the left side. Make sure I have that edge on the left side. Just a little edge. And then I can lay down the other side. There, that one's done. Alright. Do it clean up. Next up are the diagonal pockets. Now, what I did was I cut, actually I need to cut a little bit off of each of these. So I have it. I made a square, just like this. There we go. I did a square just like this, and 5.5 inch square. I then went and did a 1/2 inch score line all the way around, then put it in my cutter diagonally and cut. And you'll see I didn't do a good job on that one. But that's okay. Then I took, I wrote down a 4.5 inch square, but it should be a 4.25 inch square. And cut it diagonally. So I need to take off 1/8 of an inch off of two sides. Each of these. So they're going to look a little different from the ones I did before, but that's okay, because that adds some interest to the album, and it makes them think, well, she did the same thing, but it looks different, so therefore it's decorated different. Okay. Whoops, sorry. Didn't mean to bump you. I get a little wild in my craft room, sorry. Alright, so they're going to go on here. Better yet, let's do the polka dots. Because then that one green stripe won't go in. There we go. Alright. I like okay. Score tape again. You could glue these. And I don't go all the way up simply because I'm going to be cutting off some of that. Got CSI reruns on the TV. If you hear a little music in the background, it's Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne, CSI. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold these. Now, you notice those little rabbit ears? They come off. Take them off and clip your corners. Clip your corners first, then do your folding and clip your rabbit ears. I like to do my stuff assembly line. So that way it seems to go faster. More. There we go. Quick clean up. Alright. Let's get these together. You know, none of the things I'm showing you is anything new. I've just taken things that I've seen, learned, and applying them to this recipe album to make pockets so that I can put recipe cards in. I take and I do my own recipe cards pretty much. I do that because sometimes I make odd sized pockets. Like I had to cut down those plastic ones. So I need 5.5 by 4 recipe cards. Well, you're not going to find them in the store. So I made a general template, and I used that. Okay. I resize it to my needs. So if I need, like I needed a 7 by 9 3/4. Yeah, I made one and used it in the original recipe binder I showed you. Okay, one more. So, and I mean, it's not hard to make them. Yeah, you just use Word and make a bunch of lines. I mean, you can find some really neat ones out there if you want. And if you make your pockets to fit standard ones, like my 4x6 ones, then I use 4x6 ones. Okay, so let's take our page. What I like to do is I like to put these on here just to make sure that I like where they're going. One pattern's going one way, the other pattern's going the other. I really don't care because it looks neat. But I gotta decide which one on the top. Let's do this one on the top. So, start at the bottom. Actually, cut it just so that that will stick together, which is great. See, it sticks. Okay, it might help if my camera was straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up along the paper. Actually, let's start at the corner, up, and across. That one. Alright, and again, I'm going to take and match corner to corner on the edge of the paper. And then this one will just sit right on top of that one, like that. Now the neat thing is that not only do you have this pocket here, but you can actually slide something here. So you can slide something in the back, something in the front. So double. Now, for the top ones, and I'm going to dry fit. Decide which one. Do this one like this. Yes, I gotta look to make sure if they're gonna be even. Okay. I'm actually going to put this one on top and this one on the bottom. Yeah, I like that better. Okay. So, to get these straight, I figure out where I want it. I line it up along the edge of the paper. Hopefully that's straight. Get my ruler and do a straight line across, or not necessarily a straight line across. Make it so the bottoms are even. If you want to, you could just do the bottoms first and then do the side. You don't have to do both of them at the same time. You just want to make sure that, there we go. Because if you have this lined up, this should be okay. So now, put this one on. There. Yeah, I know these aren't equal, but you know what? It adds interest. Sometimes that's better than being even. Okay, so that's done. This one's I gotta fix. So I'm going to show you how I put the two different type of pockets on. On this one, it gets just regular pockets. So now I need to find some paper, and I need make sure I measure before I cut. You know what they say, measure twice, cut once. Sometimes it's helpful to measure 3 times and cut 4. 4 3/4 by 2 3/8. Okay. Put it down. Let's use that one. Here, that one. Four 3/4 by 2 3/8. Now I could make my pattern paper the same. But I've got some fun patterns in here, and I want to use them up. I might use this one, polka dots again. Okay. So we're just going to adhere pen and paper. Fits exactly. Okay. Did I measure this one? No. I don't know why. I don't sweat the small stuff because sometimes it works out in the end. Now, this piece here is directional, so I need to make sure I put it on the right way. I think I cut this piece too long. Yep. Oh, I cut it at 5. No wonder. Simple fix. And leave the key there. There we go. That looks better. Alright. Now, the nice thing about this paper, it has lines. So, you could actually take and put these on before you attach your reverse waterfall. It's up to you. But I'm going to take and go down so I have a nice little border. I'll take this one and do it so it looks about the same height. There we go. See if I can get this. Yes. Sometimes if you hold your tongue just right. Okay, let's see what I did wrong. It will come off for you without a problem. Alright, so there's how you attach those pockets. Now, let's get on the back of this one. These are the pockets that go this way. So again, you need to tape them up or glue, whatever is your fancy. I prefer tape. Pockets like this, because it just seems, because there's going to be some stress because they're going to be pulling these recipe cards out. And there's going to be 2 recipe cards in each pocket, which is double-sided printed so that they actually hold 4. And I may just do a recipe folder. But this is what will be the same for, let's see, for the other 3 pages. How you attach these is the same for the other 3 pages. Now, if you want to do just 2 of the horizontal pockets, and then instead of 2 of these, you can. It's up to you. If you want to just do 1 large pocket, you can do that too. Now, let's get some papers here. Try and measure this. I didn't write these down. Okay. 5. By 3 7/8. Oh. Okay. That way I know when I do the other ones. Let's see. Interesting. This. Oh, that's too short. Okay. Let's go in here. Yes. I want that. I want the gold. These are what I got left. Let's see. I have one directional paper, so I gotta make sure I do this right. 3 7/8. By 5. Though I have cut wrong, and I still use it. Oops. Helps if you clip the corners. And there are so many ways to clip the corners. I like to do it just on the diagonal. So just camera again. Okay. Sorry, guys. Be mindful of the camera. Okay. So. Again, since it's paper going to paper, ATG works just fine. Make sure it's straight. This one. Oops. No, the whisk goes up. I have to think here. I like the whisk going up. Because everything else is hanging. Alright. So you're in place. Now the thing to remember is your open edge needs to go to your left. Because this is on the back side of the page. Excuse me. Be a drink. I'm going to use the line down here. And I'm going to line it up, and it should fit just perfectly. Excuse me. On your page, that's this size. Sorry, I'm getting over a sinus infection. Now remember, your sizes will differ depending upon how large your page is. There we go. Oh, come on. Okay, let's see why. And because I have that little 1-inch thing there, I can actually butt it up against it. There we go. Now I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to place this one about the same distance from here. But remember, because I turned it, my opening faces the light. Okay. It's one nice thing about having that 1-inch piece there is it helps you flex stuff up. There you go. Now, see? And that's what you do on the other pages. That's just how you do it. I mean, there's no magical way of doing them. And you just do it on the other pages. I'm going to stop here, and when I come back, I'll have the other pages done, the back's done, and I'll redo that expanding pocket, or expanding envelope. So I'll see you in a few.